Okay. Got it.
Welcome to the Taste of Grace podcast, a podcast where women aren't just acknowledged,
But to be truly heard and understood.
Taste of Grace is a space where you're never alone.
You belong here, and we're so excited to share this journey with you.
What's up, fam?
Taste of Grace podcast.
We're on a journey.
Welcome back to Taste of Grace. Today we have such a special episode. We're so excited. There is something so sacred about knowing your gift, but there is something even more sacred, which is how to walk in your gift. How to learn how to walk in your gift.
I mean, even the lingo itself, like walking in your gift, sounds, I don't know, is it like religious lingo, Christianese in a way? But there's something to it, and like being able to know and identify what is kind of the things that you're really good at and trusting God to like lead you through it. So we just felt that this specific guest that we have today
does it so well.
So well. So I got to intro her right. I had to write a little intro because I'm like, this requires, with this level of guests, it requires a good intro. Okay, so today's guest is someone who has made millions of people laugh, but even more impressively, she's done it all while staying true to herself. You might know Anjelah Johnson-Reyes from her viral Bonquiqui character on Mad TV, or maybe from one of her sold-out stand-up comedy specials, the Nail Salon skit. I mean, there's a lot. She's performed in packed arenas, appeared in major films, and built a career that broke molds, especially as a Latina woman in comedy. So for Taste of Grace, she's hitting all the bars, like raising all the bars, hitting all the standards because she's a Latina. She loves God. She's an incredible woman, and we get to have her here. So welcome, Anjelah Johnson-Reyes.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Hello. Thank you so much.
Insert claps. This is so special, too, because we have like a deep connection just from our history and your husband, who I was in a group with for many, many years in Group 1 Crew. Shout out to Group 1 Crew and Manny. And so we've never gotten to like do something like this in this capacity, which feels really special.
Yeah.
So
you're right. This is our first time doing something like professional, I guess. You know what I mean? Because we've always hung out, been friends, or like I'm at your guys' show or you're at my show, but never like together. Look at us. We're professional.
It was about time.
We had to do it.
I love that. Okay, so I've always wondered this. I want to know, when did you realize you had like a gift for comedy? Like, when did you realize, people are laughing? Like, maybe there's something there.
Well, I grew up with a very funny family. Like, we were always laughing. My dad is hilarious.
Oh, okay.
My dad is the first comedian I've ever seen. He wasn't a professional comedian. He was just the guy who always had to get a laugh in the conversation.
Yeah.
When he was talking with his friends, to the guy in the elevator, to whoever, he always had a witty comeback. He always had something funny to say. People were always laughing around him. He's very charming. He makes friends at the register, at the grocery store. So that's what I grew up watching. All my siblings are funny, and we're just funny with each other. So I didn't know that I was funny outside of my family. We all laugh. Dad's funny. We just laugh. This is funny. This is how we make jokes.
Like, you get each other's humor.
Yeah.
So of course
this is just
laugh.
us. So I moved to LA, and I wanted to be an actress. And I started as an extra, worked my way up. I was an extra on Friends. That was my first.
Stop, really?
Yeah.
Wait,
that was my first job in the entertainment industry. I was an extra on the
What
TV
were you
show
doing?
Friends.
Were you at a coffee shop?
I was in a coffee shop, yeah.
Oh, really?
Central Park, honey. I was a regular.
Can we insert clip? Insert clip.
Yeah. Seasons 9 and 10. You can find me. You see me crossing.
Really?
Yes. I had long brown hair.
Oh my
I
goodness.
was so young and youthful and healthy. I had no joint pain. I didn't grow
The
my
good old
skin tight. Yeah, so I was in the background on Friends, and for season 9 and 10, I didn't know I was gonna be in comedy at this point. I thought I was gonna be a dramatic actress. I was like, girl, you about to find me on Law and Order SVU, honey.
Could you cry on demand?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, but I was gonna learn how to do it.
Yeah.
That was my goal. So I'm on Friends, and then at the time I'm kind of bouncing around doing like extra work on different shows. And I was a stand-in on this show, and I was going to a church at the time. And at that church, there was a lot of entertainment industry people that go to the church. Actors, dancers, producers, comedians. And so I'm at this church, and on Tuesday nights, it's called the Oasis. On Tuesday nights, they would do their creative arts ministry.
Oh, wow.
And so every Tuesday night, they would have a dance class, a singing class, a acting class, a production class, like whatever part of the entertainment industry you wanted to get in, they had a class.
That's so
on
cool. I've
Tuesday
never heard
nights.
of that.
Yeah, it was wild. It's free. It's free for anybody who goes to the church. So I
Wow.
was in the acting class. And in that acting class, we would do improv games. We would just play improv games. And I would be funny in the improv games. And there was a woman there who saw me playing the improv games. She saw that I was funny. And she was like, hey, do you want to come take my joke writing stand-up comedy class? And I was like, is it free? And she's like, yeah, it's just in this room over here. And I was like, sure. So I ended up taking her joke writing stand-up comedy class. And in this class, she would teach us different techniques on how to write a joke. And then we would get homework to go home. So she'd be like, okay, your homework for this week is write a joke about your name. So my joke that I wrote about my name was my opening joke for my very first hour special, where I talk about I'm Latina, but my last name is Johnson. Like, imagine introducing me at the Mexican American Heritage Festival, ladies and gentlemen. And then I do a whole like, señores y señores, bienvenido mi amiga, Anjelah Johnson. And it was a whole thing that I wrote that in this class. And then after that, the graduation of the class was we had to perform at a real comedy club. Like, that was our graduation.
Oh, wow.
And in that class, I wrote the nail salon joke. And so that was my closer at my free joke writing class.
And this is recorded. Like,
this is I have a copy of that set that I did that night at my graduation. That joke was longer at that point, and now it's, obviously cut down. But when I first started doing it, I did my nail salon joke, and then I did a callback because we learned about callbacks. Like, that's a whole writing technique, right? So I did a callback to an earlier joke I did about me being an extra. So I don't think I've ever shared this story on a podcast interview before.
I want to hear it.
So the way the nail salon joke used to end is, after when, she's talking about me in Vietnamese, I call my mom on the phone and I tell my mom, this lady's talking about me. And then it's a callback to my mom being proud of me for being an extra on TV. And so she goes, and this is back when I used to give my mom an accent. Like, ay, mija. My mom does not talk like that. But in the beginning of my career, I was like trying to be who I thought people wanted me to be. And I'm like, oh, I'm Latina, so they want me to talk like this. And that's funny. An accent is funny, so let me just do that. And so my mom goes like, ay, mija, well, show them what you do. And so then I get up out of my chair and I just start walking across the stage back and forth silently because I'm showing them how I be an extra on TV. And that's how the nail salon joke used to end.
Wow.
Yeah, because it was a callback to my extra joke.
Being an extra and just walking across the.
Yeah.
That is
amazing. I feel like
that story is insane. But I love even seeing that then everything was kind of like aligned. Like everything lined up to get you like
when you look back now, like, do you see, like, I don't know, in the moment you're just like, it all just flows and things happen. And I think about it even in my career, like when people ask me like, how did you get to do, music in the way that you're doing it now? And I'm just like, in all actuality, it's just like having the courage to show up.
Yeah, that's right.
And then you're I don't know. And then I look back and here I am, So how was that process for you? Because even like yesterday we went to dinner and you were telling me, I was comparing my career to like another artist and like having a viral moment and being like, it's not a fair comparison to talk about like what it took for me to get here and then what it took for them, because on TikTok it just blew up and here they are. But you were like, it's kind of like comparing it to my nail salon skit. And like, how did that unfold in that process for you? Like, did you ever expect it to be what it is?
Never in my life. I didn't want to be a comedian. That I wasn't trying to be.
You were going to be a dramatic actress on Grey's
I'm
Anatomy.
still trying to be on Law and Order SVU. You know what I mean? Like, what do you mean it?
Clip that.
So I had no idea this was going to be my life. And this was right before YouTube. So I end up, hello?
Welcome to Orlando.
Welcome to our studio.
All the Puerto Ricans. That was the Puerto Rican alarm clock.
Yeah.
Hey, wake up, go to work. Okay. So at this time, this is like 2006, 2007. I was an extra. I was a stand-in. I was on, I got let go from all my jobs, right? Like either the show ended or, I wasn't getting jobs. I didn't have an agent. I didn't have a manager. I didn't have anybody getting me auditions or anything like that. But what I had was this joke class that I took. And I was doing like little open mics here and there. And now I'm on unemployment because I don't have a job, right? So I'm on my unemployment. My unemployment checks run out. Like, they don't give you that forever. FYI, everybody watching, if you're on unemployment, it's going to run out.
It's going to run out.
You got to look for a job. They don't just pay you for the rest of your life, turns out.
Turns out.
So my unemployment checks run out. And now I'm living off of my sister sending me money to pay my rent. She sent me gift certificates to the grocery store.
Bless your family.
Like everybody just like donations here and there, you know what I mean? And this is I get a call like, hey, do you want to come do a set at this comedy club? They're gonna pay you $25 for 10 minutes. And I was like, $25? Girl, you know how many top ramens that is? You know that's
Enough
a
for
box
a
of
month.
cereal. That's a little bit of gas in my car.
Yeah.
Done. I'll be there. So I go, I record this, and then I go away. They're like, this is gonna be, I signed a little paper. This is gonna be for Verizon Wireless cell phones, is what it is. And again, this is before YouTube, right? So Verizon Wireless cell phones, you can download a comedy clip for $2.99 or something like that. So they record us doing our set, and then we go away. Then all of a sudden YouTube comes out. And they're like, well, nobody's going to pay $2.99 for a comedy clip when they can just watch it for free on this new thing called YouTube. So they took all those comedy sets, uploaded them to YouTube, right? All of a sudden, I start getting messages. This is MySpace days, okay? I start getting messages on MySpace that are like, hey, saw your video, woo, woo, woo. Then I started getting phone calls from family members like back home. And I remember one cousin, she called me and she was like, there's an email going around at work. Everybody keeps sending this one video and it's you. It's you doing a joke. And I'm like, what? Like, this is wild. Because this is brand new to send a video. You had to send it in an email. This isn't texting. This is before. Y'all, this is brand new. Old. Look. Okay, see these wrinkles right here, honey? This is old. Okay, so then I'm like, what the heck? So I'm like, can you send me that video? So she sends it to me. And then I see like, oh, I recorded this at a comedy club last year.
For $25.
For $25. And this was supposed to be for Verizon Wireless, right? So this starts going viral before.
I was going to say, that might be like the first viral video.
It's like one of the first like viral comedic videos to happen.
Wow.
Now my MySpace blowing up and getting messages from Australia, from the Philippines, from all over the United States. When are you coming to Atlanta? When are you coming to Ohio? When are you coming to perform here? Girl, all I have is my 12 minutes of comedy that I wrote in this free joke writing class at my church.
Whew.
And everybody's asking me, when are you going to come perform here? And I'm like, what are you even talking about, right? So I start
like, name your price.
I don't know how to be famous. Okay. Nobody teaches you how to be famous. So I start replying to people on MySpace. I don't know that you don't have to reply to every person who messages you. So I'm spending, girl, I'm spending hours a day replying to people. And now I'm just doing copy paste. Like, thank you so much for the support. Copy paste. Thank you so much for the support. Copy paste. Come here, son. Up here. Thank you. I don't know where you
Hey,
just went on an
Bonzo.
adventure to. This is my dog Bonzo. He just went on an adventure in this whole podcast studio right now.
He's security.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
just making sure we're good.
He's checking the perimeter.
Yes.
He's doing his job. So I start copy paste. Everybody copy paste. Thank you so much for the support. And then I start getting repeat fans that are like, "Is this a robot? Because you already said this to me." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, so sorry. I don't know how to be famous. I don't know what I'm doing. Sorry. I just
New.
You were a bot before bots were a
That's what I'm
thing.
saying. It was like, well, you already said these words. I'm like, oh, because I literally copy and paste. Sorry, my bad. And then so my life just starts like blowing up. And then what happens is on MySpace, because I don't have an agent, people started finding this video and wanting me to come and meet with them, like network executives, CBS, Fox, NBC, ABC. They would send their assistant to MySpace to find me and message me. And so I started getting messages. Hey, I'm the assistant to so-and-so at Fox. I'm the assistant to so-and-so
Did
at
you think
this
they were
production
fake?
company. No, this is before like scamming. It
Oh.
was like, you know what I mean?
That's
like,
the thing.
'cause
this is
now
when it
you
was
would be
just,
like,
the raw.
yeah.
This can't be real.
Uh-huh. What's your
Wow.
credentials?
Yeah.
Show me, you know? So then they're like, yeah, they want to meet with you. They saw your video. And I'm like, what the heck? Now I start getting meetings all over this town, right? I had to go buy a calendar. I didn't have no calendar. This is like before iCal, before Google Cal. You know what I mean? I went to Staples, girl. I bought one of those big calendars that you write in because I had meetings now. I don't know life before this. I was on unemployment. My unemployment checks ran out. Now I got meetings.
This is a crazy
I had to go buy some
story.
pens and a calendar so I could write down my meetings. So then I get called in to like CW, right? And they're like, it's pilot season. They're like, hey, we want you to read for this pilot. I'm so green, which means I'm so new, that I don't know that I can say like, oh, can I have some time to like work on this with an acting coach? Like, I don't know anything. They hand me a script right there in the office. They're like, can you read for this? And I'm like, oh, okay. And they're like, you can step out for a few minutes if you want to go
Like,
over it.
Gather your thoughts.
Were you
Yeah,
like-
yeah. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. And I'm like, so I just go out in the hallway and I'm like reading these sides, but I don't know how to like break down a character and like jump right in. This is called cold reading. Like
Yeah.
you have
Oh,
no
wow.
information about this script, about this character. They just want to see if they can cast you for it. So of course I wasn't getting cast for it, but I was getting all these meetings and not knowing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Through all of this, I end up getting an agent, a new manager.
Oh, good.
I get a whole team around me that helps me, and I end up getting an audition for Mad TV. Now, they're like, okay, you need to come in with 3 original characters and 3 celebrity impressions. I don't know how to do impressions.
I was gonna say,
I'm
have
not an
you ever practiced
impressionist.
impressions?
I had no celebrity impressions. As far as original characters, I was like, all right, well, I did a joke writing class at my church that was free, and I wrote a joke about my grandpa. I'll just change that joke and say it's my grandma so that it could be me, a female,
Yeah.
and I'll just act it out more. I'll act more like the character. So this is my original character, this grandma. And then I forget the other one that I did. And then the last one that I did, I said, well, this is my sister. She wants to be a rapper. And that was Bonquiqui.
Yes.
So I end up auditioning with
She
Wow.
was
Bonquiqui.
my favorite.
I know.
I felt so seen by both.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I memorized that skit
I'm
when I
like,
was like
"Give a
10 years
queen,
old.
listen to
Hey,
me
ba,
sing. What's
ah,
another-
Hey.
Supersize on your ring.
Yay! Uh-huh. Yeah. So
We
I
had it down.
auditioned
So
for
iconic.
that. And I end up booking it, which is wild. The celebrity impressions, what I ended up doing was I went on YouTube and this brand new thing called YouTube. And I was like, all right, well, who's a famous Latina person that I can just try to mimic? Jennifer Lopez, obviously. So I started watching video after video of Jennifer Lopez doing red carpet interviews. I'm not a celebrity impressionist, but I started to notice that when she would wave like this. She wouldn't wave like this. She wouldn't do twinkle wave. She would wave like this. And I was like, okay, I could do that. And then she would laugh, like giggle in all her interviews. And it was a very nasally kind of giggle. So I was like, okay, let me get this little giggle and this wave. And so when I auditioned, I was like, this is Jennifer Lopez on the red carpet. and the producers were the interviewers, right? So they would just ask me questions. Every answer that I gave, she would just laugh and wave. And they thought,
it was so funny.
this is a hilarious take. This is like, she's saying that Jennifer Lopez, all she does is like laugh and wave. Like every answer's like, this is hilarious. They didn't know that's all I could do.
They thought it was very
like,
thought
this is
out.
the extent of my abilities right now.
Yeah. So I would just like, I would like say a couple of words, but I would just always bring it back to the laugh and wave. Like, oh, who are you wearing? Like, oh, you know, Chanel. Hi, Philly. And then I would just like say hi. And so there was that. And I did Paula Abdul, who at the time was the judge on American Idol.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she was known for her intoxicated clap. You know, she was on just like... She was doing her drunk clap. And so I was like, here's Paula Abdul on American Idol. And just like, yes. And so whatever. And then the other one was Rosalind Sanchez. And I watched Rosalind Sanchez on Without a Trace over and over and over. And I interviewed on Rosalind's podcast and I did my impression for her.
What a full circle.
But it was just like, I would notice like, oh, she always like her chin is up when she talks. And then she kind of talks down over her nose. And then her Spanish is very fast. And her Spanish is at the front of her mouth because she speaks very fast like this. She speaks very like that, right? And so like everything she says was very in the front, like front of her mouth like this. And then, so I was just making these like specific little choices. And then they were like, yeah, this is great. And then I book it. And I'm like, what the heck?
The rest is history.
I never did a class, like a groundlings class, like learning how to do sketch comedy. Like I never did a class. I just BS'd my way through. Like I took my free knowledge from my church class. I took my own YouTube class and I used my own comedic instinct that I got from my dad. And I was just like, all right, well, let's just go in there.
Perfect combination.
I was going to say it. Yeah, it really is.
I feel like that's what makes it special is like sometimes the ones that feel less qualified for the role end up being more authentically themselves and connect.
You hit it right there. You hit it right there.
I feel like I don't know if you can relate to that in your industry, but even for me, I'm like, as a Christian artist, I didn't grow up in church. I didn't have the understanding of like, in order to be accepted, you had to perceive yourself to be a certain way. I'm just like, I'm a girl, not from the streets, but I'm like, I'm just a girl from Orlando, Florida. Like, I'm gonna be myself, and I love God. Like, oh, there was rules I didn't know, but I think it helped.
That's right.
People connect to be like, she's not trying to be something she's not. She's just.
They connect to your naivete. They connect to your innocence. This is what I felt like they connected with me. I wasn't desperate for this job. I didn't need this job.
That'll preach.
Where people who were in the waiting room had been in their sketch comedy classes for years. They paid thousands of dollars to take this sketch comedy class. Their dream is to be on a sketch comedy show.
Yeah.
They're in this waiting room so nervous because this is their moment. This is their chance this is what they trained their whole life for. And I come in there like, I just did like YouTube real quick. And we go in here after? It. Okay. Tell me when to go.
I love that.
You know what I mean? Like it's this, like, well, I don't know. I'm just going to try. It was that connected, I feel like. That. Because I'll tell you one thing. I grew up a cheerleader my whole life. Since 8 years old.
You were a dancer, right?
I grew up a cheerleader, full-on cheerleader, stunts, tumbling. I was a hardcore cheerleader. Every cheerleading audition that I got for every cheerleading movie, I failed because I was so nervous. Because this is where my strength was.
Yeah.
This is where I felt like, I was created for this. Stunts, all of it. I would always fall out of my stunts. I would always miss my choreography. I never would book any of the cheerleading auditions that I went out for.
That is crazy.
Because I was so nervous. I would mess them up every time.
Wow. I feel like that's such a good lesson too, because sometimes we want to force something so bad that we miss when life is kind of like, I think like it's actually better if you pivot a little bit. Like you're actually like this is kind of the
Mhm.
nudge that life is
Yeah.
taking you in, and you have to be a little bit like flexible and to see where it goes. I like even in my career, I always thought I was going to be a certain type of makeup artist, and I just started saying yes to random jobs, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I wouldn't have met you had I been so like gung-ho on like the direction that I wanted to take, but
Mhm.
allowing God to like open doors and opportunities and just being like, okay, sure, like
Yeah.
what do I have to lose? Really change the trajectory of like where you can go. Sometimes we want to like grasp on so badly to like that one dream or
Yeah.
thing that we don't allow ourselves to flourish in other areas that could actually be
That's right.
And
another dream.
I mean, we could talk about so many things even just on that topic alone, because I'm like, we're in this new era of like hustle culture and being opportunistic and insecurity, like when you want something so bad, like the dangers of that space. Because I
Mhm.
feel like you don't realize that when you're trying too hard and you're willing to like not take other people's like well-being into, not that you're gonna hurt somebody, but like you're just not aware,
Uh-huh.
like
Mhm.
Because you're too
you're
self-centered.
too self-centered, like
That yes.
that you're actually
My
almost
dream,
like
my focus, my
you're like
Mhm.
a deflector to
Mhm.
what God has for you, or the things,
Yeah.
because it's all under like what you can control, and how can you manipulate, or how can you, like, it's all in striving. But
Yeah.
when you just settle into like flowing with life,
Mhm.
I think you open yourself up to really receive
Yeah.
more.
Totally.
Mhm.
100.
So, but I'm like, that's a whole nother
No,
subject,
but that's so
but
true.
it's so interesting to hear your story unfold. Because
Mhm.
even in some of the
Fascinating.
things that you're saying, I'm like, what? So you thought your calling was actually like, oh, I'm a cheerleader, I'm a dancer, I'm a dramatic actress. Like, these are the things that I want. And yet what was unfolding and right in front of you was something that was so
Yeah.
unexpected, which
Yeah.
is, I think, really cool with this subject of like following your gift and
Mhm.
allowing space for it to shift and
Yeah.
change, and not
Totally.
being disappointed if it doesn't look the way that you
That's
thought it
right.
would.
Growing
Mhm.
where you're planted.
Yes, that part. So what how do you manage or like juggle the difference between like operating in that gift, like
Mhm.
your natural gift,
Mhm.
and now that it's like your career also, how do you like how do you now operate in your gift but also like under different pressures and expectations, and like now it's
Yeah.
a job
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
People always ask my husband, they always ask Manny,
Mm.
am I just making him laugh all day long?
Mm.
And he's like, yeah, but not in the way you think. Like, she's not on. She's not being funny all the time. I just find her funny when she does certain things.
Mhm.
So I often forget that people expect me to be funny in certain situations. So like when I do interviews, or especially like written interviews, newspaper or magazine, where it's like a phone call interview. This is different because we're like vibing and we can
Mhm.
laugh
Yeah.
and whatever. But when you're doing like a written interview and they have their like 10 questions that they're going to ask you, and they're just like, and how did you get started? And blah, 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 blah. I forget they want me to be funny because I just start answering their question.
Yeah.
And what inspires
being you.
you with writing? Well, my first thought is I'm going to tell you what inspires me with writing. And I'm going to give you some answer about like, well, real life. I talk about my life. I talk about blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then here I am like a few minutes later and I go, oh, I didn't say anything funny. Oh, they probably want me to say something funny. So then I start like thinking like, what's a punchline I can just throw in real quick? Because I'm not always on. So like I can operate in my gift when I need to. But I'm not always on. I know some comics, some of my friends that are always on and they're so funny. I can't do it. I'm exhausted. I don't have I need depth,
Yeah.
you know? And I feel more comfortable when we go deep and we sit here, surface, staying funny. I can't do it.
You know, that's so funny because obviously I know you're funny, but my favorite moments with you have always been like some of our conversations, and you're just so like down to earth, and like we've always, I don't know, even the first time we met, I can't remember what we were talking about. I don't even know like how you guys knew each other, that you did comedy. I had no idea. We were sharing pasta. I do remember that. We were like trying each other's
There's
food.
always food.
It was
Yes.
10 minutes after we met, and we're
Uh-huh.
like, can I have a sip of that?
Yeah,
Or, like
uh-huh.
we were just vibing. and I was like, oh my gosh, I love that conversation. I remember leaving the parking lot, and I was like, there's something so warm about her. Like she's I loved how like what we conversed about, and I feed off of like that fills my
Thank you.
soul, like
Yeah.
having those deeper conversations. Like I love to have fun and all the things, but I just, even then I was like, she's so warm. And Blanca was like, oh yeah, oh, and she just commented, and I was like, oh, I would have never guessed. Because not because you probably
Yeah.
did say something funny, but it just didn't give
It was
off.
just
like
in conversation.
you were just you.
Yeah. I
And
wasn't
even
performing.
exactly. And even every time after that we've met up, it's just been so nice, like catching up on life, and like it's just real things. We talked about motherhood, we talked about career and
Yeah.
travels and all this stuff, and it just felt so like always warm. And
Well,
I
thank
like you have so much depth, and
You know, the fact that she asked for a bite of my food within the first 5 minutes of meeting, we're in love. Like this is
that could have gone really good or really bad. Somebody could be like, she's so weird.
Yeah.
Get
Can I
away
have a
from
bite
my
of that?
food. Yeah.
That looks
That's
good.
me.
Can I have some?
It's very on brand.
That's me too. I'm like,
Like,
What
that
did
looks
you order?
good.
Yeah.
yeah, I think I like that. So I'll
Mhm.
get something different.
I'll
We can
just have a
all
bite
share.
of yours, and then I'll have
But
Exactly.
do you feel like that's been shifting gears to where you are now? I'm like, do you feel like that's been one of your biggest challenges of like the pressures of feeling like you had to be funny, or
No, because I don't feel a pressure to be funny. Only like in those moments where I'm like, oh, they probably expected me to be funny. Shoot. And there's been times where I've called like my manager afterwards and been like, hey, I just finished that interview. I don't know if I gave them what they wanted. I forgot to be funny. Sorry. You know what I mean? But usually it's fine. But I don't like walk around feeling the pressure of like, oh, people expect me to be funny. I think I forget. I got into a place where I have to assume wherever I am, somebody's recognizing me. Not like, oh, I'm famous, but in the sense of I have to watch. I have RBF, right? So my face always just, I look mad all the time. And I'm not. And you know how throughout your day, like you'll make eye contact with somebody and you just keep it moving?
Mm-hmm.
I've now gotten to the place where when I make eye contact, I have to smile.
Just in case.
Just in case, because I'm going to see a comment later on like, oh, I saw her at Target. She was mean, woo, woo, woo. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I wasn't mean. I was just in my zone. I was just living my life.
Yeah, I was
you know
just
what I mean?
living life.
So I'm like aware when I go places, but I wouldn't necessarily call it pressure.
Mhm.
I would just say I'm more like aware of things
Mhm.
now.
I love that you stay so true to yourself, though. And you're like, if I want to have more depth, I don't want to be funny all the time or on.
Yeah.
Like, you could just be you,
Yeah.
because that would be hard.
I would go crazy. Are you kidding me? If I had to be on all the time, no way. I couldn't do it.
That's too much.
I thought, okay, I'm thinking of something because I'm like, I feel like in my career, like with my music, my trauma and my losses
Mm-hmm.
and my hardships have actually been fuel for me to create. And when I pull from my life, it's in those instances that I feel like they're like journal entries. Like, this is where I can connect with someone from like their pain.
Mm-hmm.
But to think of someone whose job is to make people laugh out of their pain, or
Yeah.
like to kind of focus on the joys of
Yeah.
what's funny in life, how do you navigate that when you're going through something that's heavy, or like
Mhm.
you're in a season where you don't want to be funny and you
Yeah.
don't want to, like, you're going through it? Like,
Yeah.
how do you
It's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
work through that?
Well, I used to think that I write my material from a place of joy, which I do, but I didn't realize that comedy was also a tool, a mechanism to cope with trauma.
Mm.
So I was leaning on like, oh, I just write from a place of joy. I don't have darkness.
Mm.
And then after years of doing what I do, I realize, oh, I do use my comedy as a way to either mask my pain or deal with the pain or whatever it may be. And when I lean into that, there was 1 hour, my Technically Not Stalking special was the first time I did more in depth where I talked about my anxiety. I talked about my fear of death. And this is stuff that has tormented me, but on stage, I do a funny story, which is a real story of, I won't tell you the bit, but I'll tell you the full story that happened is, Manny left to go to a movie at night, right? When I do the joke, it's at home, right? We're at home. I went downstairs, blah, blah, blah. In real life, we were at my aunt's house. We were out of town. So we were staying at my aunt's house. My husband went to the movies with my brother, and he was going to be back like around 11:30 midnight. I was already going to go to sleep. So I'm already asleep. I wake up at 2 a.m, and Manny's not next to me. Well, there's no reason why he wouldn't be not next to me at 2 a.m, because we're not at home. It's not like, oh, he must be here or there. Like, we're at my aunt's house.
Mm-hmm.
He's not. Where else is he going to be? So I immediately freak out, and I check my Friend Finder app that shows his location. And it shows his location like a few minutes away from the house on the side of the freeway. So I'm like, oh, he's in an accident. He died.
Mm-hmm.
Full on. Like,
Your
that's
mind goes
what
there.
happened. Oh, immediately. So I get up and I'm freaking. I'm calling him. I'm texting him. No answer. And I'm like, okay, here it is. This is, and all the thoughts start going through my head. Like, oh my God, he died. Like, I'm starting to freak out. I go downstairs. My cousin and her husband lived downstairs. And so I go and I wake her up. This is, 2 a.m. I wake her up and I'm starting to freak out at this point. And I'm like, I need you to drive me to this location. I need to go see if Manny's there. He didn't come home. It shows that he's over here by the freeway, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, okay, let me get my clothes on. Hold on. So she pulls out her cell phone so she doesn't wake up her husband. She puts her flashlight on and she's like looking for like her sweater or something so she can like take me. And she goes into the living room and Manny's asleep on the couch in the living room because it was too hot upstairs. The phone glitched. I don't know why it was saying that he was 2 miles away.
Oh my
He was
goodness.
asleep on the couch. And she's looking and she goes, Ange.
She found a face?
half asleep. Ange, he's right here. He's on the couch. And I'm like,
wow. Your phone
pissed.
played you.
My phone played me. I have a screenshot of it. I got to find it. But I took a screenshot so people wouldn't think I was lying.
Wow.
Anyway, so that's the real story of what happened. When I share the story, it's very similar in the way it starts, but I start my dark thoughts that I had, like, oh my God, he died. I start telling people my thoughts as I'm walking down the stairs. Like, I'm imagining what his funeral is going to be like. The guy I'm going to date afterwards that never measures up to him. Like, so then you start finding the comedy in what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then I start thinking about the real things that happen at a funeral that can be funny in this setting. So the real things that happen at a funeral is when you give your condolences to someone. You don't smile when you don't say, hi, I'm so sorry for your loss.
Yeah. Yeah,
You have this somber whatever, and they reply in a somber thank you. So I start practicing my somber thank yous. So that's the whole thing is now I'm showing the audience how I would do my somber thank you.
It's the blink. You got to hold the blink for a second. It's second too long.
Right? So it's those moments that are like real moments from like life.
That's such a good example.
But when you take it out of like the deep darkness and you bring it here, then you laugh because you're like, people do that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then you laugh because you go, oh yeah. So that's how.
Like
wow.
I'm gonna be that girl and bring scripture into this moment.
Say it.
Because I feel like there's a scripture that has been my verse, and it's count it all joy when you go through trials, because it's through trials that you gain perseverance and strength and character.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like in hearing you talk, I'm like, man, God will use it all. And like in all aspects of people's lives and like occupations, it's like your pain has a purpose.
Yeah.
And it's to help people laugh through it, help to find the comedy in hard things that life's is throwing at us, because it's gonna throw stuff at us. It's gonna help you write songs. It's gonna help you relate to your clients and be a safe space when they're getting their makeup done. Like there's so many ways that he uses our pain, and I just would have never thought that was your answer, but in hearing it, it makes sense.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
That is such a good perspective to your question.
we have this moment all the time.
We have this moment all the time.
I'm looking at her like
The
trying to
thing
get it
that you
out. I'm
said?
like,
It's like,
Yeah.
save me.
I got hot. Oh, I don't want it to end, but
I
I know that
know.
you're limited on time.
We
But I'm
haven't
like,
even mentioned Rosie.
we haven't, and
Let's
we really
go.
wanted
Let's
to
talk
go
Rosie.
there.
Let's talk Rosie.
Before we go any further, I feel like a big key part of what we wanted to create is we feel that the best conversations happen around the table.
That's right.
We love,
Yeah.
as Latinas,
Yes.
it's like
Yes.
you can't talk and not have food.
That's right.
So we would feel like bad guests, or we would feel like bad hosts
Uh-huh.
to have you as a guest and not give you some sort of meal while you're here.
Thank you, because I am hungry.
You are. You're about
Perfect
to
timing.
have a little treat because
thank
we gave you the best acai bowl in all of
Ooh.
Central Florida.
Oh.
Brought to you by Purple Ocean. We love you guys at Purple Ocean. Thank you for sponsoring this food and bringing it to us. But without further ado, Carlos.
Ooh.
Yay.
Look at this.
Pick your fave. This one has chocolate.
Nutella,
does
Nutella, and then that one's like mango and pineapple.
Oh, no, Nutella.
Yes. Okay.
Mhm.
I'll grab this. I feel like last time I got the strawberry banana. So,
This one is what you got last
yeah,
time?
so we could switch.
Okay.
Now I'll
Okay,
do the
perfect.
mango.
I am craving chocolate. This
Do
is
we have to say
perfect.
grace for Taste of Grace?
Oh,
Do you want to?
God is good. God is great. Thank you for this food today. Amen.
Amen.
That almost rhymed.
I did. 'Cause
Uh-huh.
I'm a poet, girl, and you didn't even know it. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Nice.
We
Right?
didn't realize
What
that
a
this
nice
would also
treat.
be like an ASMR skip
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because people are just listening to us. True.
correct.
Hope you love it. Watch the video,
That's
YouTube.
Exactly. Unless you watch on YouTube,
Like,
and then
share,
you can watch us.
subscribe. But how should we? Some
Oh.
final questions
Yes.
to end this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have a question actually.
Okay.
Okay, so there was a time where you didn't want to have kids.
That's right.
But now you have perfect little Rosie, who
Mm.
I just want to squeeze her.
What a jewel.
She's so cute. She's in town with you. She
Yeah.
goes to your shows now.
Oh my
Wow.
I love her so much.
What changed?
I want to.
Yeah.
Yeah, what changed?
I mean, it's honestly, it's a long story, but basically it was my acting career was always my baby. And then COVID happened. We were on lockdown and I didn't have touring. I didn't have auditions. I didn't have any kind of work. And I was okay. And I was like, if I never tour again, if I never have a show again, if I never book any acting gig again, I think I'm fine. I never in my life thought I would ever get to that point. And then I was like, oh, shoot, did I mess up? Should I have had kids? Everybody always saying that kids are so fulfilling and, they're so rewarding. And then turns out my career is not as fulfilling as I thought because here I am saying I don't really need it anymore. Like, I feel fine. And I was like, I wonder if I should have had kids. Well, I don't even know if I have any options. Let me go to the doctor, see if I have any eggs left. So I went to the doctors and they're like, yeah,
I
you
like how
have
you
some
say
eggs, but they're not a lot. Like, if you want to do something about it, you better hurry up. So I was like, oh, shoot. Okay, well, I'm going to start saving my eggs. So then I started doing IVF to save my eggs. And it didn't work, basically. I did it a couple times. And longest story, but it didn't work. And I was on tour. My book had just come out. It was a whole busy season for me. So they were like, okay, you got to try again. And I'm like, well, when am I going to do that? I'm on tour.
Mm.
I had 1 month off in November of that year. This was early in the spring. And I'm like, okay, well, in November, I'll do it on my 1 month off. I'm filming my special in October. So that summer I was like, I'm going to get tight for my special. I started working out. I stopped drinking alcohol. I stopped eating bad comedy club food. I stopped eating after like 8 p.m. And I said, I'm gonna work on me so that for my taping in October, I look fierce. What I didn't know was I was also preparing my body to get pregnant.
Wow.
Come on now.
So I ended up getting pregnant naturally during that time,
Oh my
right before
gosh.
I did my next and final IVF because I wasn't going to do it again.
No way.
Yeah, so I ended up getting pregnant. I was technically pregnant during my special taping of Say I Won't because I got pregnant the week before that taping. So I just didn't know it for like a few weeks later. And yeah, so I
Wow.
ended up getting pregnant naturally. And then I have my very expensive free baby. And here we are.
I think that this is going to be the
Wow.
perfect way to end this segment or this show. I would say, one, I saw something on Instagram that said the percentage has finally shifted of teenage pregnancies to women over 40
That's
having
right.
pregnancies.
Let's
Wow.
go. Let's get the 40s.
Hey. So we like to leave our audience with kind of like a little note of encouragement or something to leave with them. So today I feel like it should go to that woman who maybe didn't have the early marriage or, is working hard in what she feels her gifting is
Mhm.
and maybe didn't get the family, at the time that everyone else did. For that woman who's approaching her 40s and maybe
Mhm.
thinks that her time is up or the ability to have those things that she desires is
Mhm.
up, what would you say to her? How has this season been for you? And what gift or what little thing would you impart on her?
I think exactly what this episode was about, walking in your gift. Walk in who God created you to be. You are a woman. If you want children and you were created to bear children, just walk in that identity. Just like I showed up to a place where I'm like, I have no business being here, but sure, I'll try it. Sure,
Mhm.
I'll do it. In the same kind of energy, like I'm in my 40s and my eggs are probably low count. I probably don't have all the right. I'm not in childbearing age, but sure, I'm going to walk in that. I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep wherever you are in that. Are you, you and your husband trying and you're just trying to get pregnant, or you're still waiting for your partner and then you want to get pregnant after that? Just keep walking in that faith, walking in who you were created to be,
That's
and
good.
That's so
owning
good.
that, and just, this is who I am. You can't stress out. You can't control it. You can't stress off it. None of that is going to help you get a man and get pregnant.
Breathe.
All you got to do is do you, boo, to the best of your ability. Do you and do you
Yes.
well. Be
Yeah.
healthy.
I like that.
Make healthy choices. Go to the gym or go on a walk. Go on a daily walk. Go in nature. Remind yourself of God's creation.
Come
Go
on,
be in
Ange.
Yes,
nature. You know what I
okay.
mean? God's
Yeah.
creation. You can create. God gave you the gift to create. Go be in God's creation. Go be
Yes.
one with Mother Earth. Go plant some plants. Go plant a garden in your backyard. As you're helping God create this, and God help you create this. Go
Amen.
be
I
one
love
with God's
that.
creation,
Yes.
and just do you and do you well.
Wow.
I love
That
that.
was so.
That's quote.
That inspired
gonna
me.
be a quote.
Yeah.
Do you and do you well.
I love
I
that
love
so
that.
much. Wow. Thank you so much for being here. We love you so much, and we can honestly keep talking to you all day long.
Oh man, we hope that you guys enjoyed this episode, and remember, do you and do you well, and all the while continue to show yourself just a little bit of grace in the process.